At the edge of Japan's most iconic mountain, there is a line you cross without knowing. Behind you, the world hums with movement, cars, footsteps, voices, cities that never sleep. But beyond this invisible boundary, all of it dissolves. Time becomes fog, sound becomes moss, and the deeper you walk, the more the world forgets you. This is Aokigahara, the sea of trees. It does not announce itself. There is no thunderclap, no ominous wind to warn you, just a sudden quiet, a hush so complete, so perfect, it presses on the eardrums like pressure underwater. The trees grow too close together. Their trunks are straight, rigid, unforgiving. Light filters through the canopy in scattered patches, but never enough to guide you. Nothing moves, nothing breathes, and yet something watches. Not a creature, not a ghost, something much older. You won't see it, but you'll feel it. At first, it's in your chest, the slow tightening, the uncertainty, then your hand, colder than they should be, and then the forest begins to rearrange itself behind you, or so it feels. The path you walked is no longer there. The trailhead you left behind, gone. Only trees now. Trees in every direction, some marked with faded plastic tape, tied by others who were afraid of forgetting their way back. But even the tape can vanish. Even your footprints don't last here. The soil is volcanic, black, porous, soft enough to absorb sound. There are places where you can scream and not hear your own voice bounce back. You become aware of your breath, your heartbeat, the silence inside you, and then something else. The sense that you've been invited here, not by accident, not by fate, but by the forest itself. It doesn't lure, it doesn't seduce, it's simply open. You walked in because something in you was quiet enough to hear it. Aokigahara doesn't try to scare you. That would require effort. It just exists, immovable, unchanged, unbothered. It doesn't want to kill you, but if you vanish within it, it won't weep for you. It won't remember you. It won't even notice. And this is the most terrifying part, because in a world obsessed with being seen, this place doesn't see you, not as a threat, not as a story, not even as a loss. You are just another shadow between trees. You tell yourself you'll turn back, that this is far enough, but the ground ahead feels no different than the ground behind. You could walk in circles for hours and never know. You check your phone, no signal. You check your compass. It spins, then stops, then spins again, then silence. A silence not of peace, but of permission. And so you take another step, and Aokigahara breathes you in. Aokigahara is not just a forest. It is the aftermath of something ancient and violent. Long before it was feared, long before it was mourned, it was molten. In the year 864, Mount Fuji erupted with a force that reshaped the land. Rivers of lava surged down its slopes, swallowing valleys, scorching forests, boiling rivers to steam. When the fire finally cooled, it left behind a land of black stone, barren, broken, and silent. That silence never left. Over the centuries, life crept back in. Moss first, clinging to cracks, then tree, thin at first, then tall and endless. Their roots had to fight for space, threading through volcanic rock, splitting it with quiet strength. And so a forest was born where none should have survived. But it didn't grow like other forests. There are no bird songs here, no rustling squirrels, no rustle of deer. The animals avoid it. The forest is too dense, too unnatural. The roots are exposed and tangled like nerves. The floor is uneven, hollow in places. Beneath the soil lie caves formed by ancient gas pockets. Some are shallow, some drop for meters into darkness. Some have never been mapped. The air is cooler than it should be. The light is always dim, and sound, as always, disappears. Even technology falters here. Compasses spin without cause. GPS devices lose signal beneath the thick canopy. The minerals in the lava rock, iron, magnetite, interfere with electromagnetic fields. Hikers who don't mark their way often find themselves walking in loops, panicking too late. By then, Aokigahara has already hidden the exit. Maps don't help. Trails are either unmarked or too easily missed. Even the official signs are weathered, faded by time and indifference. Locals know not to stray. Tourists are warned to turn back, but some don't. Some never plan to. The first time the forest's darker reputation entered public consciousness wasn't through folklore, but fiction. In 1960, author Seicho Matsumoto published Kuroi Jukai, Black Sea of Trees. It told the story of two lovers who ended their lives within the forest. Readers were haunted, not just by the story, but by the idea that such a place could exist. In the years that followed, the stories multiplied. People came, some seeking solitude, others looking for a way out of pain. Some brought notebook, others brought rope. A few 2 brought nothing at all. Eventually, the government stopped publishing the number. Aokigahara had become more than forest. It had become a mirror, one that reflects only what you bring into it. But long before the tragedy, long before the novels and the headlines, the forest was already feared. In times of famine, it was said, desperate families would bring the elderly into the woods and leave them behind. Ubasute, they called it, a death by abandonment. Whether it truly happened or not no longer matters. The forest remembers the story, and that memory clings to the bark like damp air. Aokigahara was born in fire, but it lives in forgetting, and it never stops growing. The deeper you go into Aokigahara, the more it begins to resemble a museum of lost decisions. Tents, shoes, plastic bottles, weathered photographs pinned to trees, ribbons tied to branches, bright blue, yellow, sometimes red, fluttering faintly in air that doesn't move. These are not random. They are traces, markers, breadcrumbs left by those unsure whether they ever wanted to be found again. Some of these ribbons are laid with care, a quiet hope of return. Others stretch into the trees, then stop abruptly, as if the person changed their mind halfway or never did. Search teams and volunteers patrol these woods regularly. They wear gloves, they move slowly, and they know better than to follow every ribbon. Not all of them lead to life. In 2011, one of these teams discovered a small blue tent nearly a mile into the forest. Inside, a notebook, half filled. The last few pages were blank. A pair of shoes had been removed and placed neatly at the tent's entrance, as if the person inside had paused, hesitated, or perhaps finished something. No body was found. In 2017, a solo explorer uploaded a video to a forgotten platform. He had walked deep into the forest alone. In the footage, his flashlight reveals objects scattered across the forest floor. Pill bottles, letters weighed down with stones, a rusted pocket knife pressed into the base of a tree. His voice shakes. At one point, he whispers, "I think I heard breathing." There was no one around. The video disappeared days later. There are reports of sounds deep within the forest, human voices, faint weeping, the sudden snap of a twig when no one is near. Some believe these are echoes of those who came before. Others think the forest plays trick on the ears, on the mind. It wouldn't be the first time. In the early 2000s, a journalist embedded with a recovery team described finding an old cassette player on the ground, still intact, still running. It had been playing the same song on loop for what must have been hours, maybe days. The batteries had not died. There are caves beneath Aokigahara, too, formed by ancient gas and cooled lava. Some stretch deep with walls of jagged obsidian. One, the Narusawa Ice Cave, stays frozen year-round. Another, the Wind Cave, has tunnels barely wide enough for a single body. Search teams avoid them, not out of superstition, but because once someone goes down and doesn't return, they may never be retrieved. Not all disappearances are suicide. Some people have vanished without leaving a note. No tent, no ribbon, no goodbye. Just gone. One hiker's backpack was found zipped, dry, and untouched next to a rotted tree. Inside were maps, water, food, and a full journal. No name. No trace of the hiker himself was ever found. Aokigahara doesn't hide things out of cruelty. It hides them out of habit. And what it takes, it keeps. Aokigahara is not haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by memory. Not memories of a single person or event, but a collective unspoken truth. That silent is not empty. It is full. Full of everything we avoid, everything we bury, everything we fear we'll never understand. This forest has become a symbol, not of death, but of threshold. Aokigahara is where many come to make a final choice. But that choice is not always about ending something. Sometimes it's about confronting it, sitting inside the deepest silence the earth has to offer, and listening to what's left inside you when the world stops talking. And it does stop here. There is no signal, no headline, no to-do lists. The forest strips everything away except what you carried in your chest. Your grief, your guilt, your question, your loneliness. It doesn't judge any of it, but it reflects it. Psychologists who've studied the phenomenon of Aokigahara suggest that the forest offers a kind of psychological echo chamber. In the absence of stimuli, the human brain turns inward. Thoughts get louder. Time slowed. The quiet is not peaceful. It's interrogative. You feel yourself being watched, not by something supernatural, but by a stillness so absolute it becomes sentient in your mind. And maybe that's what draws people here. Because Aokigahara doesn't chase you. It doesn't hunt. It waits. And in its waiting, it gives you permission to let go, to feel, or to vanish. For the Japanese, forests have always held deep spiritual meaning. They are spaces of reverence, of kami, spiritual presences tied to nature itself. Shrines are built not to contain, but to honor. Paths wind with care, not conquest. But Aokigahara isn't gentle. It's not malicious either. It's neutral. It doesn't cradle you. It receives you. It represents something modern life cannot. The absolute absence of noise. And that terrifies us. We've built entire civilizations around avoiding silence. We fill it with news, with music, with voices, with scrolling, with distraction. But out here, none of that matters. You are not a username, not a status, not a reputation. You are a breathing body standing beneath ancient trees. And the forest doesn't care what your name is. In that, there's a strange freedom, a release, a confrontation, a reckoning. Some walk out of Aokigahara changed, not because they found answers, but because the forest stripped away the need for them. It replaced fear with stillness, panic with presence, dread with quiet clarity. Others aren't ready. They run, they disorient, they spiral. Because when the silence stares back, you're forced to look at yourself without armor. And not everyone wants to see what's there. Aokigahara will not stop you. It never tries to hold you, but it will always reflect you. And some reflections are too heavy to carry back. They say that if you scream in Aokigahara, the forest does not echo. It listens, and that may be worse. There is a place along one of the lesser-known trails, faint, nearly erased by time, where the ground opens into a small clearing. Here, the trees seem older, the silence more deliberate. People who have stood there speak of an overwhelming presence, not evil, not divine, just ancient, as if the earth, at this depth, is no longer passive. You feel it under your feet, in the air behind your ear, in your teeth, a stillness that hum. And though no one speaks of it openly, many agree. The forest knows. It knows who you are when you arrive. It knows what you carry, and it knows what you leave behind. Some walk out lighter, others never do. But the tree, the stone, the coal, they remember, not out of mallet, out of function, the way a canyon remembers water, the way a cave remembers breath. Aokigahara absorbs. It does not close its door, because it never needed door. You walk in freely, and if you walk back out, the forest lets you believe you chose to. But part of you stays. Something always stays. A trace, a shadow, a silence. There are stories, still, of people who disappeared without explanation. Not suicides, not accidents, just absence. A man in 2003 who was last seen hiking near Lake Sai. His car was found. His gear was gone, but no trail, no body, no note. Years passed. The forest never returned him. Others, years later, find themselves drawn back. Tourists, hikers, filmmakers, saying they don't know why. They just need to feel the silence again, as if something unfinished remained there, something they forgot to retrieve. And maybe that's the final truth of Aokigahara. It's not a place that ends things. It's a place that pauses them, that collects the unfinished, that gathers the unresolved, like a library of everything unspoken in the human soul. No ghosts are needed to make this forest terrifying. No creature, no myth. The terror is real. It is geological, emotional, historical, environmental, because here is a place where nature does not answer to us, where grief does not echo back, where silence is louder than truth. And in that silence, we realize something uncomfortable, that there are still places on this earth that do not belong to our story, that resist our explanation, that refuse to be folded into maps, blogs, or headlines. Places that still carry weight, still hold mystery, still silence everything. Aokigahara does not warn you. It does not ask for you. It does not forget you, but it will outlast you. And maybe in the end, that is the most honest thing the earth can do. If this place made you feel something, subscribe. There's much more out there.